What players, guys, need the final round to use to their advantage as State of Origin candidates? Now, we've got our tried and tested. The players are always going to be picked. They're always going to be picked each and every year. But you can either play your way in or play your way out of an Origin side. So I'll throw this one first to AP and Macca. Cody Walker's sitting out this week with an injury, only a faint injury at the moment. Is it going to hurt his chances, or do you think it may help his chances?
Oh, it doesn't help. No way at
Sometimes it
all.
does help because everyone else falls over with bad form. But the way that Burton played it,
No, I don't think he was in. I don't think he's in calculations.
I reckon.
I think it was definitely in calculations. But the issue is, I think there was even a bit of thought of taking him and Luai into camp. But the biggest issue there is that it's only a short preparation. They haven't got enough time for him not to be able to train and participate in every session. And when you've got dodgy calves,
Yeah, true.
I think it's too big a risk.
It's the old man injury, the calf muscle injury.
Well, all of a sudden, the guy that no one's spoken about, if there is another injury or if he absolutely shoots the lights out, Luke Keary. I know he's retiring. He's been part of a Rooster side that's going pretty well. That's not totally beyond the realms of possibility. And one of his teammates, I reckon as well, Spencer Leniu, who would have thought at the start of the year when he was suspended for 8 weeks, having missed so much football that he'd be even in the conversation. But I reckon if he has a big game, he's well and truly in the running for a bench
I think
spot.
you could use Spencer Leniu's emotion against him. in
Well, I
Origin.
think sort of missing someone else. I think we haven't really spoken about too much because he's a little bit, I should say, in another country. Mitch Barnett, I think he really stood out for the Warriors over the last probably 6 or 7 weeks. Oh, even particularly even last year too.
Yep.
Even last year was outstanding. And
Do you think he'd be on the bench?
I think he's a good chance for them. He's got that Origin type mongrel about him.
I think
He's
you've got to
just
start with
awesome.
Jake defensively if you're a New South Wales fan.
But imagine Barnett just 10 minutes just go because he's MAD.
Yeah.
Got a little bit to do with Mitch. Great fella, but once he gets on that football field, it's
You're the
it's a
Knights with him, weren't you?
different levels. So he's every chance too. So he needs a good game on Sunday.
Okay,
tomorrow.
AP, it's fair to say Stephen Crichton will be there somewhere. I mean, some of his
100%.
moves are just so silky, just to catch and pass. We're going to get some of that audio a little bit later on. Zach Lomax played his way in, played his way out.
Yeah, I thought he didn't do his chances any good, in his last performance, and that Joseph Suaalii is the most likely option on the wing. But the other conspiracy theory I've heard is that potentially they could pick them both.
Yeah.
Because also, too, that they can both play wing, they can both play centre. And wouldn't it be funny if we saw, because they're going to most likely pick a 20-man squad, an old-fashioned train-off, just like, remember Josh Reynolds and John Sutton back in the day?
Yep.
So Madge's the sort of guy that loves to watch people, how they train, what they're like around the group. He's done that a lot with the Kiwis. Like, he makes his final selection decision after he's seen how they interact on and off the field. So that might be a little smoky. You might see Zach Lomax and Joseph Suaalii in
Does
that
that work in a
20-man
short
squad.
week, but AP?
The train off?
Yeah, like if you feel physically you got to be right up for this whole week to even get a chance at a spot, then go up again for your game. Does that work in a short week?
Oh, I think it has to. Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're given how little time they have.
Yeah.
And I know what you're saying, Macca, that you can play your grand final before you actually run out onto the field. But no, I reckon you've got to be really intense, have a really tight prep, and that they're going to be up all the time. There'll be some downtime, of course, but when you're on the training field, you're going to have to be going at 100 miles an hour.
Well, there won't be much else to do on the Blue Mountains anyway, I suppose.
Yeah, stationed in the Blue Mountains. That's an interesting one, AP.
Apparently, it's going to be, when they get into camp on Monday, about 4 degrees Celsius.
Do you think so?
I don't think there's going to be too much Brad Fittler style walking barefoot around the Blue Mountains.
Do you think that forces them to cuddle and get warm, get closer? I'm not quite sure. That's an interesting one. I think I'd rather be at Bondi.
Well, you'd rather be at Bondi. You'd rather be Queensland. Like, they're going to be walking around in thongs and shorts and all this sort of stuff.
Riding their bikes around.
Riding their bikes with the little basket at the front of the Spokey Dokies.
Okay, I think Burton will definitely be in the 17 somewhere, whether it's a utility on the bench or whether he gets that 6 jersey. What about who won the battle last night between you being an ex-Origin hooker, Robson and Appy Koroisau last night?
Yeah, tough one. I really liked Robson's defence. I just feel like
the way he finished the game off.
Everyone's got the connection, Appy and Madge. I don't know, Reece just he's solid in defence. Like he did 40-odd tackles, no misses, no thrills, does all the tough stuff. So
he came off too happy last night.
He came off too. It's just, it's hard to say what I think Madge is probably thinking there in terms of what type of player he wants there. But there's a couple other hookers as well, so there's still plenty of other football games left this weekend to maybe toss someone else up.
Do you know, I've got to say, Taulagi came up with some big plays last 2 weeks. He's been outstanding. But if
he knows that he needed something big?
Well, if Val and Hammer are going to be in the centres for Queensland, Taulagi may miss out. Cobbo may beat him to a wing position. I'm not quite sure.
Well, yeah. Well, you got Xavier too, the other one.
Xavier will be one winger because he's been one of the probably the form wingers this year in the entire competition. Okay, what about Olakuatu last night? Did he do enough, even if it's a bench position?
Oh, you've got to pick him. Got to pick him.
Okay, well,
absolutely.
I'll throw this one at you, AP. Hudson Young and Crichton. I know they're playing opposite sides of the field today. That game at 3 o'clock, not long after crunch time finishes, but they're still playing for that left side position. So will that decide who plays? Because I don't think they'll have both.
We couldn't have Crichton on the bench.
Well, but I don't think they'll pick Crichton and Hudson Young, will they? And Olakuatu? Because Liam Martin will be one back rower.
Yeah.
I'd go Angus Crichton. I reckon he's playing the last 6 or 7 weeks as well as he's ever played. I reckon he's the guy.
What about you, Backer?
Olakuatu, Martin. Yeah, it's a tough one. I love what Hudson Young does for New South Wales. I really do. I think he's that type of origin player that gets under their skin. He can come up with some plays that...
Do you know sometimes he can be over-emotional?
Yeah,
and you can tip over the edge.
So,
I think
that takes a little bit of time. He's a bit younger too.
Maybe he's learnt from the experience,
Been in that, I guess, arena of it all, but that's what Origin's about. You look at Hudson Young, yes, he might get under people's skins, but he looks like an Origin player. Players like it too.
Yep.
Queensland be thinking, it's just one of those pests, but he gets
they
in
don't
your
go
face.
away.
He just in your face.
Yeah, it depends on the balance of the side too. And I think if you choose a Spencer Leniu who's a bit loose and a little bit MAD, you can't have another one in there.
Exactly, yeah, you're right.
Hang on, why can't you have more?
Well, because I think sometimes, like I was saying,
then it becomes a liability.
You look back at some of the Queensland teams. They had Charlie Webb, Nate Miles, a few of them there, MAD. Michael Crocker.
Yeah, but Nate was controlled.
But
he had control.
Crocker and Charlie Webb.
Yeah, Croc was mad.
Yeah, Charlie.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like Origin, I don't think you need to worry about if they're mad because they only got 10, 15 and they cause a bit of carnage.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Now, we've got a text here from Azza from DY says, here's my left field thoughts, guys, on Origin. Teddy at fullback, but not captain. That's why if he gets dropped for any reason during the series, it's not as a big of a deal. Latrell for the bench, as can play anywhere in the back line or even a roving 13. If the game is tight, Queensland wouldn't want to fight up Latrell coming on with 20 to go. Hey, Azza, I do like your left of field suggestion there. Now, AP, as a journo, have you found it interesting that I think Ted will be there and captain, but have you found it interesting that Madge actually hasn't come out and said, hey, guys, he's our captain?
Yeah, it is. And normally there's a lot of leaks around this time of year as well. Like, the team starts to filter through, but I don't think that Teddy's the absolute lock that everyone says he is. I think that he's probably obviously he's the captain and the incumbent, he's the favourite, but I would not be discounting Dylan Edwards getting in. Like, he's been probably one of the best players over the last 3 or 4 years. Big reason why the Panthers have been so dominant and won 3 consecutive grand finals. And I just reckon perhaps Nathan Cleary not being there will count a little bit against him. I think that connection, had he been the number 7, might have played in his favour. So, yeah, I think it's still a 50-50 call.
Just thinking off topic here a little bit, AP, just got me thinking right before. Have you had any run-ins with any players in your time? Or players come and confront you?
There've been a couple that haven't.
You don't have to say names, but can you give us a bit of incident of what may have happened?
Yeah, I remember at one stage we had to do the best buys of the year. Like, this is going back about a decade. And then we also have to do the ones that haven't been going so good as well. And I remember one time putting a player in that particular bracket, and he came and told me what he thought of that, which was fair enough. And he ended up being the club player of the year that year, so shows what I know.
He should have come and thanked you later on in the year for kicked him in.
I motivated him, exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Jorgo on the text line says, "Men, I posted. I positioned that Luke Keary missed an opportunity to become a bit of a Queensland hero. He should have refused eligibility for New South Wales and said, if I can't play for Queensland, I'm not playing at all. What would you both have done if you're ineligible for Queensland but were picked for New South Wales? No,
I wouldn't play.
I wouldn't have played.
Not a chance.
After growing up my whole life in Queensland. Yeah.
You're going against the whole. Not a chance in the world.
Mark says, I've got all three in the side, Appy, Robson and McGuinness as well.
You can only have two of those.
I think Yo, even though I think Yo's had
can't.
one of his best seasons, I think in game 3 last year, they played him off the bench.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was
he
really
came on.
effective.
Yeah, he was really effective.
Well, which leads to the question: if they don't go for Tedesco, who's going to be the captain? Is it Isaiah Yeo, perhaps? Because I mean, Cameron Murray would have been a contender. He's not there. Nathan Cleary would have been almost a standout contender. He's not there. So who's the captain? And does Madge, who's previously had co-captains, again share the load between a few players?
What about 5 players?
Well, I tell you what, it's his first year as skipper at the Bulldogs, but Stephen Crichton's proving to be a really worthy skipper. Is he a future skipper of New South Wales? Daddy Vass, you got a view?
Boys, what does Tommy Hazleton have to do to be picked for New South Wales? I think he's just done everything.
If he stands up,
against,
which he will, if he stands up against Fisher, Harrison, Leota tonight, I think he's on the bench, Hazleton.
I'll tell you this.
For Origin?
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. If he was a Queenslander, based off his form,
he's throwing this up.
He'd be in the side. He'd be in the side.
He would have played 10 Origins already if he was a Queenslander.
Billy would have picked him.
Hey, 280 says, played his way into the side last night, Nathan Brown. He's a lunatic.
Yeah, well, apparently you blokes said you can't have more than one.
Yeah, there's a lunatic quota for New South Wales. You can have as many lunatics as you like.
Yeah.
I actually reckon Nathan Brown's teammate, no one's talked about. I actually reckon Taniela Paseka's had a good season and shouldn't be too far away either.
He's the biggest human I've seen in rugby league.
It's almost like just recently he's looked in the mirror and realised how big he is and that he should be causing carnage.
Yeah,
He
got over
is
a
a
couple of his
monster.
knee injuries too. He had,
Yeah.
hasn't he? So
Him
big
and
man
Nelson.
like that, he's playing some great football.
280 again says, have you seen Josh Reynolds' selection? Suoli in the centre and still have Josh Adokar. And I wouldn't have Suoli in the centre at the moment. I think I fear him as a winger, but not as a centre at the moment. How can
reckon
AP
it'd be
say
winger,
Cleary would have helped Edwards? The Penrith connection hasn't worked 3 of the last 4 years, which is, again, it's another thing. Combinations in Queensland have worked really well. Combinations for New South Wales haven't worked that great.
That Cleary-Edwards combination has worked the last 3 out of the 4 years out for Panthers. Like, we haven't seen it at interstate level as yet.
What about for Queensland, Kurt Catewell? He's always had good utility value, but he's always carried a few niggling injuries, especially this year as well.
Well, he's another one, like a little bit out of sight, out of mind, a little bit.
Macca, would you pick Latrell?
Well,
Like, as a Queenslander, do you fear Latrell being picked?
I've said this on the show previously. I would pick him.
Yep.
I know everyone's got their debates, but I just feel like the way he is, big stage, big player, moments, pressure, whatever it might be, I'd think he'd stand up.
Michael Maguire is looking for blokes who'll crawl over broken glass to get to a New South Wales jersey. And until a few days ago, he wasn't sure if he wanted to be a part of it or not. So I think for that reason alone, it's unlikely, and even if he has a blinder tonight, that he'll get picked.